Hey guys, it's been a while, but I'm back, and it's not because it's a fun time. It's going to be because we have to do it. And I decided at one point that I'm going to record everything I try to repair, maybe to help someone. I'm no expert. I'm just a guy trying to save a buck or two and live through it to tell the tale. So we'll see how this goes. But this truck needs new front brakes before something bad happens. So that's what we're going to put on there as I replace the shocks on this as well. And this thing's dropped. I had it originally a 5.7 drop by, it probably have now a 3.5. And the shocks that I had on it when I loaded this with the DJM kit originally didn't last long. And so it's been a rough ride for a long time. The brakes has always been worse. They've gotten worse. They sound bad and they feel bad. So it's only right to make this thing stop correctly, or as correct as you can with the stock brake. So we're gonna chalk this bad boy up, start loosening up all these lug nuts and get going. Alright, so the parts I went with Rock Auto for the brakes, the rotors, the new bearings. I went with Beltec drop shocks from Summit. These are the ones I wanted. I've been looking around, and these have always popped up on the lowered GMT 400s. These 8500 series are awesome, from what I can tell, for the money. 8502s are for the rear. They do a 0 to 7 inch drop range, and then the 8000s are for the front. They do a 0 to 500 drop range. Sorry, in inches. But the Beltec Nitro Drop 2 shocks seem to be exactly what I need. We're going to see when we install them how they ride around, but from all the reviews, they seem to be pretty solid for the price you pay for them. Super tedious stuff here, so I'm gonna 3x speed this thing up on the tedious nonsense. Super easy, simple, but man, I ran into some problems, so I'm just gonna document what I did, my experience with the parts that I got, and how it's running today. So I had no clue why I did this that night. It was a really bad idea, but I went ahead and done it anyway. I had the parts. It took forever to get there from all these random places, but we got it there, and now I was ready to go, and then the night came. So what do you do? But these are the Bosch brakes that I found wholesale closeout on Rock Auto. So, you know, hopefully they have all the parts, which when I checked, it did. Everything was in there. I had footage of it. Lost a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but everything was there. Even a towel, a blue towel was in it. I don't know if it was from the return, if it was a return, or if they give you a blue towel. I don't know anything about it, but it came with a blue towel. And I got the inner and outer bearings. Had to go to O'Reilly's for the seals. Otherwise, I would have gotten it all at Rock Auto. The new rotors were like $43. Pretty good quality from what I could tell looking through it all. The boxes have been through better days, that was for sure. But look at mine. I got this lip on my my rotor that's so horrible that I have to like decompress the brakes more to even get it off of that rotor when I have to take it apart here shortly. Alright, moving in the shock should have been easy, but it sure the hell wasn't. So I had to remove these bottom bolts from the lower control arm. First one came out smooth. Second one gave me a troubles. I figured I would jack up the lower control arm, maybe release some tension, but it made more tension. It was a grave mistake, but that nut just, didn't have anything left and it broke off. So that ended the adventures for the night. Come daytime, I used all kinds of ways, torches and vice grips to get that nut out of there. And I filmed it all and somehow lost all the footage. So those are the photos you just see of what I thought was video, but ended up being just... Once I got that broken bolt out of there, I went ahead and put the new shock in, slid it through the upper control arm, through the spring and the lower control arm all together. You gotta slide it in there. But once you get it in there, you have to sandwich these plastic or rubber grommets on either side of the upper control arm. Then you tighten it with this 11/16 wrench while holding the rod with some sort of a crescent wrench, pliers if you have them, and that allows you to tighten the nut without the whole thing spinning around. It is quite tricky to get to it, so I kind of had to do a little bear hug or reach around through whatever holes that I could find. So I did the exact same thing to the other side, but I didn't film it at all. You get the idea. This is super easy install. Unfortunately, that bolt broke off. Caused probably 4 hours of more work trying to get that thing out of there. But other than that, it's usually a pretty easy and fast install. But I decided to leave everything in there. Alright, we're moving on to brakes. I'm just going to show you kind of a quick rundown of what I did to take this brake apart and replace the rotor and the brake pads. I'm not going to show you the other side. It's the same thing. And there's a million videos out there on how to do this. So if you need further information, I would check out something in the algorithm. Alright, we're going to speed through this process. Super simple. Pop the boots off. Use a torque drive to take off these nuts. Just 2 of them. Once those are gone, this thing can come loose. So my rotors are so eaten through by the brakes throughout the 30 years plus on this, on this truck. Who knows how long they've been on there, but I gotta compress the brakes even more just to get it off. Almost flatten the whole system just to get them off there. And of course I have a faulty tool. Couldn't find my new C-clamp. There's also tools made for this situation that I would highly recommend you getting, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Also, I have a video coming up. I just ordered stabilizer parts You can see the rubber is worn out on that stabilizer there. I got new parts for that. I'll throw a little quick video. That shouldn't take long. That'll come up after this one. So you can see here, I'm using this bungee cord to hold up my brake caliper. It keeps it out of the way and it keeps your hoses from being kinked, cut, slit, sliced, smashed, or any other things you don't want it to happen. Now, as you can see here, I had to push that pretty far out, push back in, I mean, to get that over that lip. Look at that, just ate through it. And boy, you could feel it. I had nothing. It was nothing, pretty much at some points. And these new ones fit right in. I was just doing a little test fitting there. Now, what's awesome about this kit? It came with all of the greases and fittings and new rubber to go through the bolts that hold the whole system on, and that was really nice. So you don't see me doing it on this one, but I ended up having to take it apart and put all of the grease that was recommended to put on all the parts. I wish I would have got that, but you know, I've lost so much footage on this video that we're lucky that it's even coming out. So I just use a screwdriver to kind of pry this thing back into where it needs to go. Metal to metal contact, no worries, it wasn't going to hurt anything. And I did it gently. Did you see what I did? Gently. Now the next fun part is getting this thing off. More metal to metal contact. Now I sped this thing up because it took me a while to beat that out of there. I didn't want to break anything. But it's funny. Later on you'll see. But we're going to go ahead and pull this cotter pin out. Super easy. Bend it back. Grab it with some pliers. And pull it right up. That thing has been through better days. It's pretty dry in there. It is a job that has been needed to be done for a while, so it's really exciting to get this part done. Safety first. Yeah, and then take a look at the shaft here. There's a little bit of grease on there. Not as much as I want to see. Now we're going to grease the hell out of these things. There's going to be people watching this that want more grease. But I put as much as I could in there, and every divot, every inch, millimeter, under every bearing, and every groove that I could fit it in there. And then I added more. But, you know, people want to talk about packing and packing and packing with pressure. You know, I don't know. I did what I could. Now, when you pick up these bearings, they're going to have a little sleeve around it, aluminum sleeve. It's that would normally be pressed into your rotor if it didn't already have it in there. And luckily enough for me, that sleeve or grommet, whatever the term is already in my rotor, so I'm not needing it. You'll see me throw that back in the box on both of these inner and outer bearings. So we're just going to grease up these bearings and, slide them into their final resting place. Alright, once these are nice and packed, you want to make sure you get this stuff in every divot, as I mentioned earlier, every hole, every crack, nook, and cranny. Because these things are always spinning around. It's taking the entire weight of your vehicle on it. So you want these things to last. So we're going to make sure they're nice and sticky, greasy, whatever that is. But we're going to put more of that grease inside here. We're going to speed up the video because it's boring otherwise. But as you can see here, I'm putting grease in the rotor so that the contacts, I'm going to pack it around every little hole, every nook and cranny in there as well. And I'm going to be very careful not to get it on the contact of the rotor and brake area. I'm going to clean it off anyway in the future here before we get going, but it's just easier and keeps all the messes away, if you will. So now I'm putting this bearing in. Don't forget your bearing. I'm very gentle here. I'm using a rubber hammer, and I have it greased up on both sides. And I'm going to just tap her in there all the way around the circumference until she gets in there yummy. And I sped this up, otherwise it took a while. I'm sure there is something with the same size you could lay over it and pound it in if you need. Or if you have some sort of a press at home, it's going to be a way better idea than what I did. But as long as you do it gentle, I think you'll be fine. And then I use a screwdriver and kind of tapped around the circumference to get it in there more. And then add a little more grease on top of that. Alright, I'm getting it all greased up on the other side. I very carefully flipped this rotor over so I didn't scratch anything up on the concrete. And, if you had a nice flat area, this would be 10 times better to do it in, but I decided to do it the hardest way possible. So we'll just go with it. And I just was very careful about not scratching the rotor or get any kind of grime or dirt inside those bearings, because then you're into big trouble if you do. So I was very gentle with the whole process here. Now I wanted to clean these there's a pretty old oil on it and dirt and grime of who knows from where. But I wanted the threads to be nice and clean, so I made sure to clean it up. I put some more grease on it, and that way it's going to slide on there like butter. Alright, now I'm spinning this lock nut on, and I get it pretty much tight, and then some until I can get the hole lined up to one of the openings in the crown nut. That's what it's called, crown nut. And once I got that lined up, I can slide that cotter pin in there, and I didn't show you that part, but I did that. And also tapped on the cover to that crown nut. And, you know, the footage is gone into the abyss. Who knows where it is. But as you can see here, the last thing I wanted to do was clean this up. And I make sure to clean both sides with this brake cleaner, or I'm using some sort of a air intake cleaner, carburetor cleaner type of thing. And so I do it multiple times. I do it before I put the wheel back on as well. But as you can see here, these are the parts that come with the brakes. As you can see, the rubber grommets there and the rubber bushings. You got silicone gel of some sort and some grease. And all that really came in handy. And I changed it all. I just unfortunately didn't film it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is trying to get it lined up so that the bolts can go back through the holes. There's just two of them that hold this bad boy on. But and the brakes slid over perfect, had no problems with that. They were compressed just fine. It was getting this thing lined up, but once you do, you can feel it and you can get these bolts in there pretty smooth. And I also didn't show this part, but I put a little grease on it that came with the brake kit to get those in a little bit better. Tightened. You want to cover the bolts with the new rubber grommets that come with the kit. Then you want to check for any kind of wear or play or any of that, and we were good to go. So, and I did a final clean. I didn't show it there, but I did a final front and back clean. We're going to move on to the rear shocks. Super easy. 2 bolts on the very top, 1 big long bolt on the bottom. Once you take those off, you're pretty good. You're pretty golden. But when you want to install the new part, the new shock, you want to keep the plastic or metal, whatever is compressing the shock. You want to keep it like that. It's going to make your install so much better. I didn't get to film it here, unfortunately. But you just basically start with one end, install that end. I would do the top. And when you're ready to do the bottom, you pop that, whatever's holding it in place, and it will slowly decompress. And that's when you trap it with a bolt, and you're ready to roll. Now this is a pretty easy part of the install here in the whole video, the easiest part, but these nuts were a little rusty, so spraying them with WD-40 or some sort of lubricator will be very nice. But you're doing little love taps from a rubber hammer, you ain't gonna hurt nobody. So once you get that out of there, you're pretty golden to put the new ones in. You know, this video was a very hard one to get out. I lost a lot of footage. The battery kept dying on my GoPro. I forgot to charge it, and I just wanted to get the job done. And then things broke, and it just was a very tough documentation of this project to get done. but I'm glad we're here, and I'm glad it's out there. I claim to be no expert on video or streaming or any kind of YouTube stuff, or even automobiles, mechanics, any of it. Just like I enjoy doing it, and I get to learn about two different things: how to make a video, how to edit video, and how to work on vehicles. Pretty fun. I enjoy it, and I hope it helps somebody else out there. And as always, I try to answer all reasonable questions to my ability in the comment section. So if y'all got anything, just holler at me. No, I'm no expert. I'm probably on the same forums as you guys are. That GMT 400. I mess around on Reddit. They have some good GMT 400 subreddit on there. It's pretty solid. The website's great. There's tons of stuff on the internet for these types of trucks, and so many customizations that you can do to them. So it's been really fun to having them. I'm a square body type of guy, but this is my first OBS, so it's been fun. Alright, so what I was showing you, the plastic piece that holds and compresses your shock, you want to keep that on when you install it. It's going to make it so much easier. Otherwise, if you pop that bad boy, you're in big trouble. Not that much trouble, but you're going to have to compress it yourself while you're under the truck. It's going to be a pain in the ass, so just a little trick. Alright guys, the other side went in perfectly. No problems. I wish I would have filmed it, because I would have picked up some of the lost footage I got on this side. This whole project was a real pain in my behind. But as you can see here, damage. I drove this thing for 3 days after. No problems. Coming home from work one day, and I had a lot of vibration. And with that vibration, I was worried. So I exited off the highway, continued home, very gentle. And at about 25 miles an hour, my wheel fell off, flew in front of me. No one was injured. No other vehicles were hurt or involved. Luckily, a good old boy picked me up and helped me go pick up my wheel that was about a mile down the road. Had to go get it towed, so I lost a little money. But what I have concluded was that I didn't tighten the lug nuts. I didn't recheck them. I tightened them when I put it on, but the guy who put these rims on my truck told me that I needed to check a few times after getting any kind of wheel work done. And so not only that, the lug nuts have been on here for who knows how long, and it was time for new ones. Especially with a new rotor and a new lugs on there. It would have been a smart idea to get them then. So I definitely learned from my mistake here, and I hope it helps somebody out in the future when you replace your rotors. I didn't even think about it. Get new lug nuts. So I had to pick those up at O'Reilly's. I think they were 15 or a weird odd number, or even or odd number. I can't quite remember. I think it's odd. I had some left over. I think 2. So you buy 2 packs for the front, you're gonna have about 2 left over. So but it's recommended to get all of them replaced if you can when you do any kind of wheel work, or just after X amount of years. Luckily it didn't damage anything other than there's a plate that surrounds the brakes. I was able to beat that back into place, and as you can see there, the hub cover popped off. And I was so gentle getting it off earlier in the install, and it really didn't matter because it was smashed to pieces. So the other thing I had to do was, if you look there, the lugs have aluminum inside the threads, and I had to get in there and dig it out, and nice and gently I got it back to where it wouldn't mess up the new lug nuts that I purchased for this thing. But after that, everything's back on there and was rolling back in a day. It was just unfortunate that I had to learn the hard way on that one. But I hope it might save somebody in the future a fender and a few bucks of towing. But I really appreciate you guys watching this, and I hope it helps somebody. My favorite thing is helping others with these old OBSs. I don't know much, so you get to learn with me, basically. That's why I record it. But I got some other things gonna come out here soon. I'm trying to get these videos pushed out. I have an F-150 I'm trying to get back on the road, and I have a 99 BMW that it was a project, but I want to get rid of it, so you might see a video of that coming out pretty quickly. But I appreciate it, guys. I'll holler at y'all next time.